All right, this is just an overview map of Lake Havasu City. If you live here, it should look familiar. But you'll notice that there's basically color coding, and the different colored areas represent what's called the response area, or the first due area for that fire station or that fire engine. So we'll kind of work our way through numerically. Start down this light blue area is Fire Station 1, which is on Acoma Boulevard. And this light blue area basically highlights or outlines what is identified as their first due area for emergencies in that area. When we work over to Station 2, is the area that this fire station that you're at now is this greenish colored area, which would be the kind of the northern part of town that encompasses from Industrial Boulevard and Havasu north. Fire Station 3, we go all the way back down south, is this other green area to the south. It's actually a pretty large area, and it runs from pretty much Jamaica Boulevard south. And Fire Station 3 is located over here on Buena Vista, right near Oro Grande School. Fire Station 4 is at the corner of Amberwood and Palo Verde, and you can see its area runs all the way up into Bison, covers the Foothill Estates, and then dips all the way down in below the high school and kind of jogs in. That's 4. Then Station 5 is down one of our busiest houses, and it's this dark area, and it covers what we just consider the downtown area and all of the island. One of the main things they're also responsible for is our fireboat, which is housed out of Contact Point. It's up on a lift, so if there's a call for a lake emergency, Engine 5 would physically respond, drive down into Contact Point, and they're able to be on the boat and responding within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. From the time they actually pull up to Contact Point, they could be out on the boat within a few minutes. And then Station 6, which isn't on the map, is far north, and it basically serves what we call the North Corridor. If you went out Highway 95, it covers everything north of North Palo Verde, the auto dealerships, the mall, the airport, some of the trailer park or the RV parks that are out the north end of town. They cover that. So to give you an idea of what happens, especially for your listeners on Havasu scanner feed, when you hear, let's say, Engine 4 in place of Engine 5, what that means is Engine 5 is physically tied up on another call. So they're dispatching Engine 4 to now take a call and respond to Engine 5's area. So it lets, if you get a call, if a call comes out right now and they say Engine 2 in place of Engine 4, and that's the first thing I hear, I automatically know I'm going out of my district. I'm going to go from Area 2, I now need to be looking at where we're going to be going into Area 4. So it's just a way, so for the people who are listening on the scanner feed and you hear that, that'll give you an idea of what's happening around town. And that happens frequently. It actually happens numerous times throughout the day where our dispatchers who are housed out of the police department facility, this is all managed through computer-aided dispatching and GIS codes. So what the computer does is the computer recognizes the engine that is supposed to respond to that. If that engine is not available in the computer, it sends the next closest engine because it knows, based on road segments, what the next closest engine is. That's assuming that we're all in our stations and that we're not getting fuel or we're not doing a demo somewhere. So that kind of gives you an idea of basically how everything happens in regards to shifting fire engines around throughout the community to ensure that we always try to maintain a 5-minute response time. When somebody dials 911, regardless of where they're at or what their emergency is, we always try to maintain a 5-minute response time to that incident based on the emergency. So that's kind of how we shuffle or move engines around through dispatching, which is again handled by PD, to ensure that we send the right engine or the closest engine to the right call.
London Bridge Road, cross of Industrial, south ramp, diabetic, en route, ETA 6 minutes. Engine 5, medical assist, Windsor Beach, south ramp, 699 London Bridge Road, cross of Industrial, diabetic, ETA 6 minutes, 1732.
So we'll kind of segue into if that was our call, what we do is we come out to the apparatus. The first thing that the company officer or the captain does is come in and utilize our mapping program. So what I did is I just typed in the address where engine 5 is going. So I type in 699 LON, which is abbreviated for London Bridge, and I hit enter, and it instantly pulls it up. So while it's doing that, I'm getting my seatbelt on, I'm getting situated, I grab my headset, which allows me to talk to the other crew members, and before we're even pulling out, I come over to the map and I just put my cursor on it, and I'll right click it and hit zoom to, and it immediately takes me to where we're going to, it shows me on the map where we're going to go to. So it zooms in, and then if I want to close this out to get it out of my way, then I know where I'm going. If I want to zoom out, if it's maybe a street we haven't been to in a while, I can zoom out and get a little bit of a larger view to show me some of the other streets. But our mapping program gets used on just about every call. It's probably one of the most useful tools that we have. It's all based on GIS information. So that's pretty much how we find the specific address that we're going to. So if I'm going to a home and I need to find it, I just hit Control F, it brings up the address box, and then I can just type in any address, find it that quick, hit it. And from a fire standpoint, if I'm going there for a fire call, it's going to pull up a home right here on the corner. So if I'm going there for a fire call, there's a lot of information that the aerial view can tell me. So if I need to get a closer look, I can go to a tighter view, and it actually gives me an aerial view of that house. I can see where the fire hydrant is. Nope, a little too tight. I can see where the fire hydrant's at, which is one of the first things we look for. We look for a primary and a secondary fire hydrant. But more than that, I can also tell from the roof structure, I can tell typically what the layout of the house is. And this is before we ever get there. So we have a lot of key information that we can tell just from the aerial view. I can tell if I have what's called exposures. If I'm going to this house that's white, 671, I know that I've got exposures on either side. So depending on the fire, I know that I've got to be concerned about fire spread to the adjacent occupancies. So before we ever get there, the map really provides us a lot of useful information about where I'm going and what I might encounter, what might be some fire ground factors that I have to consider when I develop my action plan for the crew in regards to what we're going to do to put out the fire and mitigate the emergency.
So the red markers are the fire hydrants?
Yeah, well, there's things that we do when we're what we call en route or responding to an incident. We'll look and we'll kind of guesstimate. We just consider every lot about 100 feet wide as a safe rule. So if I look and I see a fire hydrant and the home that we're going to is 5 houses down, I know that we're at least 500 feet from the hydrant. So those are all the things that we do mentally when we're processing information mentally that we do to kind of develop what we call our action plan. Where's our nearest hydrant? How long is the lay? Where's my next due engine? What's our staffing levels for the day? And all of those things are factors that we put together in what's called an incident action plan. Because when we stop at the incident and we begin doing what's called the size up, that's all the information that we formulate to when we step off the engine, that we have a coordinated plan of what is our objective, how are we going to mitigate this incident, and it's all part of the process.
So you're pretty much the navigation too for the driver.
Yes.
So that he can just worry about getting there.
And we actually operate as a team. We'll usually put this down so it's not in the way. Driving is getting to and from the incident safely is our main priority. If we don't get there, then we're no help to anybody. So even though we're using lights and sirens and making a lot of noise sometimes, a lot of times we're not going any faster than the speed limit. We're kind of getting people out of our way, just letting them know that we're en route to an emergency. So the company officer will a lot of times direct and say, we're turning right here, we're turning left here, it's the 3rd house on the right, and that kind of stuff. So that's how we use our mapping system.